Hi everyone, my name's Rob and I am Smartphone Filmmaker. Today we're talking about FilmIC Pro and how to utilise it to give you a smoother shoot day experience and to help you in turn with your post-production. Now if you're new to this channel, basically I do everything smartphone filmmaking, from tips videos to accessory videos to FilmIC Pro tutorials like this one. I've already got a couple as well which I'll put in the end cards, etc. And also I make short films to show you how to utilise all of these sort of tips, tricks, accessories and stuff and make a really nice short film. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button now, hit the like video button on this one, and we'll have a great time and you can get more of this kind of good smartphone filmmaking content. Now, we've got all that out of the way, let's get into this and start the video. Okay, so we're in FilmIC Pro now, so let's set the exposure for Benny Bluebell, getting ready to do our first take of the film. Put the focus on him. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is a digital slate. So to do that, we look at the bottom right here where we've got the cog. That's our settings button. So to set our digital slate, we're going to press on the button with our finger and go into the settings. So on the left hand side, you'll see CMS and the clapperboard picture there. So if we tap on that, and we'll go into our slate. So content management is our slate. If we tap on that button on the right hand side, that will take us straight into the slate and turn it on. So here we've got production, untitled, scene 1A and take 1. So for production, we'll give this one a lovely little title. We'll call it Bear or Beck. No, we'll call it Bear. And because the first one was so good, we'll call it Bear 2, the sequel. Now scenes, this is called 1A, and when you're writing a script, you'll have each scene numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. But for me, when it comes to this digital slate, I find it much more helpful in post-production when I'm looking at loads of files if I actually have some sort of a description of the scene. So rather than having lots of numbers, etc., which I'll show you in a minute, we're going to give it a proper name. So we're going to call this one Bear, and because of the scene, we'll call it Palm, and we'll call it for the Palm, and we'll call it Intro, because this is the first scene of the whole film. So Bear, Palm, Intro. Lovely. And now takes that will automatically go up, so you'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as you stop and start, stop and start. Something also to really think about is to make sure when you're filming the next scene that you change that scene name, otherwise all your files are going to be called Bear Palm Intro or whatever you called the scene. So make sure you give that a new name every time you start a new scene, and that'll keep you much more organized. Now if we come out of that by tapping the home screen, tap the home screen again, we'll hit that play button. That will take us into the files. Now as you can see, all these files are numbered. So you've got on the left hand side of these numbers the dates, so the 13th of the 8th 2020 on the top one there, and the time on a 24-hour clock is 9/29/28. So when you're looking at loads of files in post-production and they all look the same because you've done the same shot, it's going to be incredibly hard to tell the difference between each one, and it's going to be incredibly hard to keep them organized. So if we tap and come out of this by tapping on the home screen, lovely jubbly, and we record for, let's just say 5 seconds, do a quick take, and you'll see the difference between this one having done the digital slate and the rest of the takes that we've got and how it will make it easier. So you've got Bear 2, Bear Palm Intro, take 1. So let's say you've got Bear 2, Palm Intro 1, but you've done 5 takes. It's going to be way easier to look at these and know from scene to scene which one's which. So you might have Bear Bar if he walks into a bar, or Bear Fight if he goes into a fight. For me, I find that much more easier when it comes to post-production, because you just described everything so much better. And the numbers, when you're looking at just a series of numbers on the takes and then post-production and your editing, for me it's just so confusing. So that's something that I do, that it really organises everything. It saves me so much time. Now something else I like to do is a preset. So I'm going to show you how to make presets. So if we look at the top right of settings, you got presets there. And you can save your current settings as a preset. So if we come out of this by tapping the home screen, we'll come back into the home screen where you'll see everything we have here. Bottom in the middle, 24 frames per second, 1080p. That's the settings we want to save. So if we go to save current settings as preset, tap that, and that will save it. We need to give it a name. So we'll call it 1080p, and we'll say it's 24 frames per second. Not PE, per second, and save that. That's now ticked and that is saved. The reason why we do that is because when you're on the run and gun situation of filming, particularly doing low budget stuff, you want to make sure you're saving as much time as possible and being most productive as you can. So on the home screen here, if you tap Filmic Pro, you've got delete app, share app, edit home screen, or load 1080p 24 frames per second. So you want to tap on load 1080p 24 frames per second. And once we press that, that'll send us straight into the Filmic Pro homepage. As you can see in the bottom middle there, you've got 24 frames per second, 1080p. Now you can do that obviously with anything, no matter how many frames per second or your resolution. And it's a really helpful way just to speed up things when you're setting up for new shots, or you've broken for lunch and you start again in a new scene. You've got the settings already there to go. Okay, now something else I want to show you is how to favorite shots and takes. So if you've got takes that you know are better than others, or maybe you couldn't use others because of sound, to favorite your best takes, you'll see on the screens here, you've got grey stars on the bottom right of the screenshots. If you tap on those grey stars, they'll turn yellow. That way you can look back at your files and say, okay, so this is what I want to take forward, this is what I want to use in post-production. You know you can ditch other ones, and you just make everything much easier for you when it comes to extracting files. So I use a Sandisk drive, a flash drive, which I can then extract files to. So starring these really saves me a lot of time looking through them and not having to watch every single one. And you can star as many as you need. Something else that's really helpful is to delete files to save storage. So on the bottom left of this, you've got the tick. And if you press on the tick, it will then give you the option of being able to select different files. So if we press that tick now, we can then select by tapping on the file, which makes it green. And you can press the bit on the right hand side, which is red, to delete, and then press delete to confirm. And this will save you so much space on storage. Now I had issues with filming where I was getting to a point where Filmic Pro was telling me, you haven't got enough space, do you want to film? So I'd say yes, but then at the end of one take when I watched it back, I had about 10 seconds of stuttering footage. So to save your storage is a really, really useful thing. You don't want it to get into red, because otherwise you can have some corrupt files where the shots are going to stutter and it's just going to look terrible. So make sure you delete files that you know you're not going to use to save space and save panic as well. So the next thing I want to talk about is timecode. So CMS on the left, which is what we use for our digital slate. If we press that, we've got timecode track. Press on that toggle and that'll turn that on. Now as you'll see, if we tap the home screen to go back into the full home screen, the 000000 at the bottom, which is what will record how long your scenes are that you're filming, is now turned into the actual live time. So it's 9:40:09. Now 10. That could go on forever, couldn't it? So this time here is really helpful. If you're in a bit of a pickle and your time is really against you, let's say you've got 20 minutes to film a shot before moving on to the next location and you get kicked off the current location. Having this time here will allow you to see exactly how long you've got. So if you've got people who are dawdling, maybe a bit slower, you can just politely rush people along. I haven't used this yet, but if I was in a pickle and I was against the time, I would use this so I know exactly what I've got, particularly if you're using your phone for time. Now, next thing I want to talk to you about is using audio only. So if you tap audio at the middle top and scroll down, you'll see video only. Now, the reason this is really helpful is if you're doing B-roll, if you're filming B-roll, i.e. so if you've got someone running through a forest, you're going to show shots of the forest before you see him, and you want to add some Foley sounds, or you want to add some dramatic music, something like that. This is a really useful tip. So if you tap on that and turn it on, you can film just sound, and that way when you come to post-production, you don't have to delete audio files forever, because you often have, if you're doing B-roll, you have 3, 4, 5, 6 different shots, and then tapping to delete audio afterwards is a bit of a pain. So this is really good. Well, thank you for joining me, guys, in this video. I hope you've learned a lot and you found out a few things that maybe you didn't know before with Filmic Pro, and this is now going to help you with your shoot days and post-production. If you've enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, and do check out more of my videos. I've got plenty of them now, so you can get tucked into that. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great time. Take care. Bye-bye.